On the early morning of August 30, Venezuela experienced another blackout. At 4:50 a.m., after two big power drops, most part of Venezuela was left in the total darkness. Was it a sabotage, a new hack, irresponsibility, or a punishment? What's really behind this new blackout in Venezuela? We will talk about this shortly. But first, let me remind you that if you need transcription, translation, or interpretation in any language, you should check out languagesunlimited.com right now. Why? Because they offer you the best quality and wide variety of services. So remember, visit languagesunlimited.com and see all what they have for you. Now, let's get back to our topic. On August 29th, Venezuelans went to bed like any other single day. Just expecting to wake up the next morning and do their normal things. But that was so far away from the reality that was about to happen, because they woke up in the dark. Most people thought that there was just a simple power cut, something really usual in Venezuela. So, most part of Venezuelans just got ready to work, only to realize that they were living another huge blackout without any kind of internet and no way of communication. There were no any kind of updates on what was happening. Some people turned on the radio for some information. Shortly after 5 a.m., Freddy Ñañez, the Minister of Communication, spoke on Telegram, explaining that the power services of the country had experienced a new attack, and he blamed, of course, Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo González. That's right, not even an hour after the blackout, and the regime had already suspects, despite to have any single proof to back it up. Later that afternoon, Nicolás Maduro will explain that they had been victims of the biggest attack to Guri, the hydroelectrical plant that keeps Venezuela lit. He also assured everyone that they had the situation already under control and were restoring the power system in all the country. 20 out of 24 states were completely dark. The light started coming back after more than 10 hours of darkness. A record time, actually, if you remember 2019, when there were almost 3 days. It began in Caracas and then the other big cities of the country. But some areas didn't get the power until the next morning. During this time, there was one reported dead. This due to the blackout, because, sadly, not all the hospitals in Venezuela had backup generators, and a patient who depends on a ventilator passed away in Maracaibo. But something that is really funny and curious about this situation is that there was actually a great backup generator in El Cuartel de la Montaña, the military base where Hugo Chavez's remains are kept. A picture of this circulated on social media, and it went viral. As soon as communications were recovered, people just discovered this picture on X, Instagram, and other social media. And many Venezuelans were so upset about this. It was like a mockery, a disrespect, a total disrespect to millions in the country. Other places with generators were also linked to the Chavismo. For example, the Humboldt Hotel, which is at the top of the Avila mountain, a part of El Círculo Militar, which is a military zone, and of course the Miraflores Palace. So now the question is, what really caused this blackout? Honestly, I think it's totally impossible to know this. But on the other side, at this point, I think, very few Venezuelans actually believe in the excuses of the government. the famous excuse about the Guri being attacked, it's old-fashioned. They have used this so many times that I think that almost no one believes in it. Not anymore. And this is not the first time that something like this happened in Venezuela. And the excuses have always been so creative. And we have had some variety of excuses. We have had everything from an attack from the USA to a lizard. Believe me, they blame a lizard one time. In 2019, after almost 3 days in the darkness and a week of national inactivity, they gave the exact same excuse. It was an attack. According to Nicolas Maduro and other people from the regime, Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez are responsible for this, and they supposedly even have proofs to blame them and to issue arrest warrants for both leaders. But this sounds like the perfect excuse for the regime to start officially going after Machado and Gonzalez. They need just to pin a crime to justify an order against them. And thinking about it, it was just a matter of time until something like this could happen. The regime, it's clear, they know that if they kidnap them, like they have had with other oppositors activists, the US or another allied nation might intervene, and of course that they don't want that. So they could have easily made up a crime just for them. At the same time, and at this point, many Venezuelans wonder where is Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez. They didn't speak about the blackout. They didn't say anything through the social media like they always do. And something else that people is wondering, how the opposition could attack the electrical system if all the power plants in Venezuela are under military control. On the other hand, Venezuela's national power system, like other basic services in the country, had suffered neglect and deterioration over the past 25 years. And even though large sums of money had been allocated for its maintenance, it has fallen to the hand of corrupt individuals. So it's perfectly likely that the power system has issues. I think it's the most normal thing, which has even more sense if we look back at the last 15 years. Electrical failures in Venezuela started in 2011, when almost the entire country was left in the total dark for 3 hours. Only Caracas suffered just 15 minutes of darkness. In 2013, it happened again. And from 2014 to 2016, power cuts were even scheduled. In some states, the labor hours were reduced. This to avoid a major blackout. But in 2019, that day arrived. And well, we already know the story of 2019. However, this doesn't seem to be the full explanation. If we look a little bit closer to the current events, this new blackout took place in the middle of a social unrest and just at the end of a really tough week for Nicolas Maduro and his government. So, what people is actually saying and thinking in the streets of Venezuela is that this that happened is a punishment. This tactical is used in dictatorships like Cuba, punishing the people by leaving them without power for long hours or even days. This kind of intimidation effectively controlled the masses. Just 3 days before this blackout, there was a little warning. A power drop left several areas from Venezuela without energy. So everyone fears in Venezuela for a massive blackout like the one in 2019. And since July 30, rumors had been circulating. A new blackout is coming. This was sparked by a video on social media. And this video was taken during the wave of protests after the results of the elections. And in the video we can see several cars entering into Miraflores with huge generators. So were they planning the blackout, or they did know something that we don't? Maduro himself predicted on national TV a blackout, and who are the only ones prepared? The regime, with generators and even bunkers in Miraflores. In the streets, people connect the blackout with supernatural activities, black magic, and witchcraft, something closely associated with the regime since Hugo Chavez. Some political experts believe that this actually was just a test by the regime. A small trial for what is coming, as they seek to cut any kind of communication with the outside world. Either way, one thing is clear. If this blackout was a warning, it worked. Because fear, it's now firmly planted in Venezuelans. Many are already afraid of complaint. I was watching news in a YouTube channel, the news about Venezuela, and a journalist was asking the people on the streets, like, hey, what do you think about the blackout? What do you think about today's blackout? Do you think it is real, what the government says, what Nicolas Maduro says? And many people just, the answer of many people was just like, you know what, I can say anything because I can go to jail for say what I actually think. Actually, in this blackout was something really weird, and it was that there were no any kind of banging pots or another kind of protest. It was all silence. For now, according to Nicolas Maduro, absolutely everything is under control. The coming days will be crucial. People ask, will there be another blackout? Another question is, will Maduro push Venezuelans to their limit beyond their point to not return? And the other question is, what will happen with Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez? We will keep an eye on all this, and of course we will probably be talking about this in the next time. But before I say goodbye, I have to tell you that at the time I'm recording this video, there is still so many zones and states in Venezuela with no electricity, more than 24 hours after the blackout. So you already know. See you later.